Introduction. There's a novel that strips humanity bare, exposing our deepest hypocrisies and moral contradictions. At its center is a man whose confession forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about judgment, guilt, and social masks. Welcome. Today, we're counting down the 20 most cynical facts about Albert Camus' The Fall. We'll explore a narrator whose honesty is as unsettling as it is illuminating, a world devoid of absolution, and philosophical themes that challenge the very idea of justice. By the end, you'll see why The Fall remains one of the most psychologically provocative novels ever written. Let's go. Fact 20. Unreliable narrator. Jean-Baptiste Clémence, the protagonist, narrates his own confession with compelling self-assurance. Yet Camus makes it clear that his account may be distorted, selective, or manipulative. We are constantly reminded that Clémence tells his story from a specific perspective, seeking validation, sympathy, or even control over the listener. His perspective forces readers to question whether his observations of others' morality reflect reality or his own biases. This unreliability is profoundly unsettling. It turns every seemingly moral insight into a challenge. Is Clémence self-aware, or is he rationalizing his failings? Fact 19. Amsterdam. Setting. The novel's setting in Amsterdam is symbolic, chosen deliberately by Camus. The city's canals, narrow streets, and reflective waters mirror the reflective, confessional nature of Clémence's narrative. Amsterdam is depicted not as a picturesque European city, but as a labyrinth of judgment, self-examination, and subtle alienation, amplifying the novel's existential undertones. Camus' choice of city also enhances the theme of moral scrutiny. The canals act as mirrors for introspection, while the city's history of commerce and morality resonates with Clémence's critiques of society. Fact 18. Confession as manipulation. Clémence presents his confession as an act of honesty, yet it's often a tool to manipulate the listener. He carefully crafts his story to elicit reactions, provoke empathy, and even assert superiority over those he judges. The narrative blurs sincerity and performance, leaving readers questioning his motives. This technique highlights Camus's exploration of moral complexity. Clémence's cynicism lies in exposing how human interaction often masks self-interest. Through this manipulation, Camus forces us to examine the subtle ways humans use narrative, guilt, and moral critique for personal ends. Fact 17. Mirror imagery. Camus frequently employs mirrors as a motif, emphasizing self-examination and moral reflection. Clémence observes both physical and metaphorical reflections, scrutinizing his actions and those of others. Mirrors reveal duplicity, hypocrisy, and hidden aspects of character. The persistent use of mirror imagery reinforces the novel's cynical tone. It suggests that introspection often exposes flaws rather than enlightenment. Readers are confronted with the unsettling idea that moral clarity is elusive and that self-perception may be more judgmental than objective. Fact 16. Hypocrisy exposed. A central theme is the hypocrisy inherent in societal judgment. Clémence critiques others' moral failings while conveniently excusing his own past transgressions. He observes that individuals often project virtue outward while harboring hidden selfish motives. Camus' narrative forces readers to consider their complicity in similar patterns. We may condemn others while ignoring our moral shortcomings. This cynical view highlights the universality of hypocrisy. Fact 15. Existential isolation. Clémence's confession underscores existential isolation. He feels separated from authentic human connection, trapped in a moral and emotional void. Others' judgments and societal norms feel distant or irrelevant to his introspection. This isolation amplifies the novel's cynicism. Camus illustrates that existential awareness often brings alienation rather than liberation. Recognition of human flaws, both personal and universal, isolates the observer. Readers are made aware that understanding morality may not lead to comfort, but to the stark recognition of human imperfection. Fact 14. Judgment everywhere. In The Fall, Clemens portrays the world as perpetually judgmental. Every action, gesture, or inaction is subject to moral scrutiny. He observes that people constantly measure themselves against invisible standards and against each other. This perception intensifies the novel's cynical undertone. Camus suggests that judgment is unavoidable and human life is structured around both giving and receiving moral evaluation. Fact 13. Moral inversion. Clemens's narrative often inverts conventional morality. Acts traditionally seen as virtuous are questioned, while failings are analyzed with nuance. This inversion creates moral ambiguity that unsettles both the listener and the reader. The cynicism lies in revealing that morality is not absolute, and humans are adept at justifying both good and bad behavior, depending on perspective. Fact 12. Masks of civility. Clemens often observes the facades people maintain to navigate society. Civility, politeness, and charm are frequently superficial, hiding selfishness or fear. The novel suggests that appearances are deceptive and authenticity is rare. This reinforces Camus's cynical worldview. Humans operate behind masks, presenting curated versions of themselves. True motives are obscured, making interactions inherently suspect. The observation unsettles readers because it challenges the assumption that social niceties reflect moral integrity. Fact 11. Obsession with guilt. Guilt permeates the narrative. Clemens reflects constantly on past mistakes, particularly his failure to act in critical moments. This obsession shapes his worldview, creating a persistent self-reproach. Camus demonstrates that guilt is both isolating and transformative. Fact 10. Ethical relativism. The novel portrays morality as relative, not absolute. Actions cannot be judged in isolation. Context, perception, and intention all influence assessment. Clemens observes that what is condemned in one instance may be praised in another. This perspective challenges traditional notions of justice. Fact 9. Confession as performance. Clemens's self-revelation functions as both catharsis and performance. The act of confessing becomes theatrical, designed to impress, provoke, or control the audience. It blurs the line between honesty and manipulation. Camus's emphasis on performance highlights human tendencies to dramatize guilt. Confession does not equate to absolution. It can serve ego, social positioning, or even control over judgment. Readers are left questioning whether any disclosure can be authentic, reinforcing the novel's cynical tone about human sincerity. Fact 8. Human corruption. The novel emphasizes that corruption is not confined to extreme cases. Clemens observes subtle moral compromises everywhere, from small lies to larger ethical lapses. These minor corruptions accumulate, reflecting systemic imperfection. Camus' focus on widespread moral compromise underscores the universality of human weakness. Cynicism emerges from recognizing that imperfection is inherent, not exceptional. Fact 7. Existential reflection. Moral observation in the novel triggers existential reflection. Clemens's self-awareness forces him and readers to confront freedom, responsibility, and human limitations. Awareness of choice does not guarantee ethical action. Camus suggests that existential understanding may heighten cynicism. Knowing how human beings navigate moral ambiguity does not lead to clarity or comfort. It emphasizes complexity and contradiction. Fact 6. Society as mirror. Amsterdam, Clemence argues, mirrors the flaws of humanity. Social structures, hierarchies, and rituals reflect individual vices and collective hypocrisy. The city becomes an allegorical device highlighting pervasive moral duplicity. Camus's observation reinforces the novel's cynical stance. Society, rather than offering guidance or support, magnifies human weakness. Fact 5. Ethical judgment. Clemence evaluates everyone but himself selectively. He becomes an arbiter of morality, highlighting inconsistencies, selfishness, and cowardice in others while rationalizing his failings. This selective judgment is central to his cynicism. Fact 4. Alienation explored. The protagonist feels alienated emotionally and morally. Camus's treatment of alienation exposes the psychological cost of moral awareness. Knowledge amplifies loneliness, suggesting that ethical insight is inseparable from existential estrangement. Fact 3. Cynicism as lens. Clemence's worldview frames human behavior through suspicion and critique. Cynicism is not superficial. Sarcasm, it's a philosophical lens, shaping perception of morality, society, and self. This lens allows insight, but distorts optimism. Camus implies that once one recognizes systemic imperfection and human inconsistency, cynicism becomes almost inevitable. Fact 2. Confession without redemption. Despite the narrative's confessional style, Clemence finds no redemption. Self-revelation does not heal moral failings or offer clarity. The act of confession exposes flaws without resolving them. Camus highlights the tension between awareness and absolution. Recognition of wrongdoing is insufficient for change. The novel's cynicism emerges from this disconnect, leaving readers to confront moral imperfection without comfort. Fact 1. Darkness within humans. Ultimately, the fall reveals the darkness inherent in human nature. Everyone, including the narrator and the reader, participates in compromise, hypocrisy, and moral blindness. Camus presents a world without absolutes. The novel insists that humans are both observers and perpetrators of ethical failures. Cynicism is not just a theme, it is the lens through which the human condition is exposed. Closing remarks. The Fall remains one of literature's most psychologically provocative works. It refuses to offer absolution, moral comfort, or simple resolutions. Camus challenges readers to confront hypocrisy, guilt, and the uneasy truths of human nature. Whether you find the novel illuminating or disquieting, its unwavering vision is a remarkable achievement in existential literature. By watching this deep dive into 20 cynical facts, you've explored the layers of confession, judgment, and moral reflection that make The Fall enduringly relevant. If you found this exploration insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content examining the darker dimensions of human thought, morality, and literature.